So, hello everyone. As the saying goes, the quest for knowledge is the greatest quest one could have. With this quote, we would like to start today's incredible session of the second season of ElevateX, the Certification Odyssey. This is an initiative taken by the Career Counselling and Guidance Cell of Shahid Bhagat Singh College, University of Delhi. ElevateX, the Certification Odyssey, is an informative series designed to empower students with the knowledge and resources they need to achieve professional success through their career. This series aims to guide students who are becoming certified experts in their chosen fields. We also enable them to stand out in the competitive job market and thrive in their careers. The host for today are myself, Nitin Jain, and along with me would be moderating my friend Hariom. And so our guest today is Mr. Varun Agrawal. He is an exceptional individual who has achieved quite a lot at a very young age. Varun is a chartered accountant and he has achieved all India ranks at all the levels in the course. He was among the top 5 in the CACPT exams. He had an All India rank 20 in the CA intermediate exams, and he also had an All India rank 17 in the CA final exams. He has also completed 6 papers in the actuarial science examinations and was an All India rank 1 in the CM1 paper. He is currently pursuing his MBA from Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. His achievements are the proof of his perseverance and his dedication to his goals. We are honored to have you as a guest, sir, and we extend a warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Nitin. Thank you for the introduction. And please don't call me sir. I'm just like 1 or 2 years older than you. Probably some of you.
Yeah, that's okay. So, without any further ado, I would say, start the session. And so, the first question that we have is, why did you choose to do an MBA? Like, you completed your CA and you also did 6 papers in actual science. Like, you had an all India rank at all the 3 levels of CA examinations. You were also all India rank 1 in one of the papers in the actual science exams. So then, why did you choose to pursue an MBA and take a shift in your career? What was the motivation behind pursuing an MBA?
So starting with actuaries, that's not something that I want to make a career in. It was an academic interest because I kind of like maths and stats. I checked the syllabus and liked it, so I just went ahead with it. I don't want to make a career in insurance or stuff, which mostly actuaries do. So it was pretty clear on that front. Uh, for CA, obviously, like I did not plan to do an MBA. I'll come to how it happened. So I started working after CA. My CA final was in December 2021, and CAT was in November 2021. So obviously I couldn't prepare or anything, but I still gave CAT that day. I got some 99 percentage, but I was clear I don't want to do MBA. I mean, there's no reason that I saw. So although I got some calls from LKI or something, but I didn't even interview and I just went interviewed for some jobs. HL was hiring at that time, and I took a role in corporate finance. This is a management training kind of role under program called UFLP, in Future Leaders Program. So I thought this is a good opportunity, and it's actually a post MBA role. So like quite a few people after doing their MBA joined there. So I was like, this is a great opportunity, and I took it. Uh, in fact, one of the questions in my interview at HL was, why do you not want to do an MBA? Because you've given CAT, and convince us that you won't do an MBA after here, like you won't leave us. So I was so clear at that point that I could convince them that I won't do an MBA. But I think over the next 12 months, I worked there, and I happened to. So there were basically 50 of us who joined there, and most of them were MBAs from some colleges like IIMs or SPJN or some other colleges. Happened to interact with them and got to know that there is some merit in doing an MBA. Obviously, accounts or finance is something that I've studied. I won't get to study anything more in college here. There's definitely some learnings in terms of presentations and stuff, but technically accounts I've already studied. So there are a few subjects which academically, but there are a lot of things that MBA helps. That's why I decided to go with CAT again in 2022, and CAT 22 was what led me to join IIM Ahmedabad. It was again last month decision, uh, around Feb or something, Feb 23, when I had to take a call. I was like, should I resign? Should I go for an MBA? Ultimately, people had differing opinions. I talked to a lot of alums, lots of seniors. There are quite a few CAs who are not doing MBA because
today the scope is such that you do get good job opportunities and career opportunities even without an MBA. So we don't live in that era, I would say, where MBA is like the ticket to a good career. If you are done pretty well in your UG, or in whatever like CA or whatever course, you can do like, even DU people you see MBBS started hiring. So lots of MBAs go to MBB after MBA. Although there's a slight difference in the position, but you can cover up with for that in a few years. So that was not the reason, but I felt like MBA definitely adds value to you in terms of one, this learning subjects other than finance. So we study HR here, we study operations, all management related, and lots of stuff. Like it's anything that you can possibly imagine. There is some elective subject in the college. I thought that's one good learning. Plus, there's networking, as you say, the most famous word for MBA. You get to meet a lot of people. That's actually true. When you come to college, there are so many people from different backgrounds, and you sit in a class with them, and you see how they think and how they talk. On the same issue, I have a different viewpoint. Others have a different one, and they are not wrong. All of us are right. So there are multiple benefits, and obviously career opportunities are there. Post MBA, there's also this brand that you can say, okay, I'm from IIM Ahmedabad or any other college. So that definitely helps in a career opportunities. I think it was a marginal call. You could argue you should not do an MBA or should do an MBA, but I went for it.
Okay, that was a very descriptive answer. I think everyone would be able to take some value out of it. And so, like, moving to the next question. The next question would be that how did you prepare for your CAT examinations? Like, what was the strategy you followed, and what would you say were the things you did, or what were the factors which you would say which differentiated you from the other candidates who were preparing for the CAT examinations?
Yeah, so my answer is probably not going to be that good here, because in very short, like one line, I did not prepare for CAT. So I'll tell you how it happened is, so 21 CAT 2021. CAT was 5 days before finals of CA, so there wasn't even a chance that so I went into the exam hall and saw the marking scheme there. Found out that there are 3 sections in the exam there. That was the situation. But yes, next year definitely I was much more prepared. I knew the exam patterns. I had solved a few mocks, and I did not have the time to go for coaching because I was working in HL, and it's a full-time job. You don't get a lot of time. Uh, Plus, in November when CAT was there is this stint called rural stint in HL. So basically, you go and live in a village for some time, and you do some work there. So I was in a village near Daman, on Gujarat border, and obviously there's internet connectivity issues, and you're working in the village. There are no weekends there and stuff like that. So it wasn't possible for me to join any coaching or study properly. What I did was, I had extensively referred YouTube for this. So there are lots of content. There's a lot of content available on YouTube regarding CAT, uh, how to approach the exams, how to solve. Uh, I picked out those channels and those videos after like general Google search and YouTube search. I picked out those videos which actually solved the question. So, for example, there's a channel called Elite Grid. It actually takes up some like section, some TILR question or some quants question, and it solves and it tells you, okay, this is the approach you can follow. This is how to exactly solve it. I think that's what helped me figure out ways of solving different kind of questions. So that was my primary source of preparation was these YouTube videos. There are these few channels who solved these questions in detail and told this is the approach. And then obviously I can do my own analysis. The second thing was preparing, like giving mocks. So I took past papers and gave them as mocks under the same time control, and saw how much I'm scoring. And after giving it, I obviously looked at the solution of all the questions and figured out why I missed, what I missed, what went wrong, and a kind of self-analysis. Broadly, that was my preparation. But if you're wondering, is this enough? I would say no. For most people, this wouldn't be enough. You'll have to prepare a little more, maybe join. Why it worked in my case is because I'm not sure if you've given those Olympiads in schools, these science Olympiads and maths Olympiads that used to happen. So CAT is very similar to these Olympiads. if you see even the level of difficulty, yeah, CAT's level of difficulty is also similar to the kind of questions we had in 10th standard and 12th standard in these Olympiads. So, for someone who has given those Olympiads, and I had given them, I had prepared for them in school. For someone who has done that, CAT is just, you need just a revision, like a quick revision. Because even some of the question types are same. It's very similar. It's like you'll feel you're giving those school Olympiads all over again. So I think that's what created an edge in my case, because I had given those Olympiads in school. I could manage with a little lesser effort this time, but it's also a lot of luck. On the exam day, uh, it's like if it clicks at that moment, it clicks. Otherwise, even if you're prepared for like 1 year, you see a question and that logic doesn't click, you can't really do anything, even if you are the smartest person. So if someone has scored 99 percentile in CAT, doesn't mean they are smartest.
In the lot for given the exam. There's a lot of luck and a lot of presence of mind and your mindset on the exam day that works. I think that also worked well for me. On the exam day, I was like in a good mood. I was focused, and I could give my best even with a slightly lesser preparation.
Okay, thank you for that answer. It was surely a very unconventional, I would say, way of preparing for the exams. I mean, all the people generally study very hard, but as you mentioned, I think even luck plays an important role on the day of examinations. For the next question, I would like to pass the virtual mic to Hariom.
Conversation so far. So, like, my question would be to you that what we see now, that time management is the thing that students face. Like, you manage your articleship along with the CA finals, you secured an AIR, you cleared CAT. So, can you give insight to the students about the time management and how you manage your work?
Yeah, so I would say I wasn't very good at time management during CA, but I am now much better during MBA, and this is one of the things MBA teaches you. I think one of the key learning for me in MBA in like 7 months that I've spent till now is time management and prioritization. So during CA, with articleship, uh, so my first year of articleship was in BDO. Now that's like a proper finance valuation kind of role. You work on deals and stuff. So you don't get a lot of time. Like you pull all-nighters, you work overnights, late at nights, and there's not a lot of time to study. Uh, but I used to live in a hostel called RVG in Mumbai. There's a hostel for CA students. When you're doing your articleship, you can live there in Andheri. So it's like a proxy college. Now CAs usually don't have college. My BCom was from a distance learning, so this college is like a proxy college. That's where that's one of the aspects of time management. There are lots of activities that happen in that college. So first year, went into like the hostel activities and stuff, just having fun in general, and articleship. I think it was the second year where we started studying. So lockdown hit and we got back to home in March 2019. I think it was at that March 2020. Sorry, it was at that time at home that I started studying because I was working from home. So you save travel time, which in Mumbai is upwards of 1 hour maybe every day. So good save travel time working from home, and that was very helpful in starting with my studies. So as time management is concerned, I think in general my approach is I don't plan a lot. Like okay, I have to do this from this minute to this minute or this hour to this hour. My approach is on efficiency. Like I try to minimize the number of minutes I waste. I try to minimize them whenever I'm sitting. Okay, let's do things as fast as possible, with breaks of course, but let's not waste a lot of time. So it's a very instantaneous approach. I haven't planned. So today I haven't planned what I'll do after this. I know there are like 6 things I have to do after this podcast. I don't have a schedule. Okay, from this minute to this minute I'll do this. It's like after this ends, I'll start with one. I'll do it with the maximum speed and efficiency possible and move to the other. And usually I might miss out on some things, but usually this works. And the order of prioritization is very important. So out of the 6 things, I know these 3 are the ones that I definitely have to do today. So those are the ones I'll do first. The other three, I can maybe, if it's not possible to do it today, I may push off to tomorrow. So for me, it's like keeping an order of prioritization of tasks and ensuring efficiency in whatever I'm doing, if it's studies or even work or whatever. I think that approach has helped me in CA and now also. Even more now in CA, it's not that difficult. I mean, when you're doing it, you feel like okay, I'm doing articles plus studies. But when you come to a college like here in IIM Ahmedabad, it's like there were two things I was doing during CA. There are 20 I'm doing right now. The scale is huge, and you still are able to manage. So I think that's a key learning that I take from.
So basically, life experiences and will taught us the how to manage time and procrastination. We have to do less, in short. So
Yeah.
moving on to the next question. So you have joined the MBA after some work experience, and you have also met some freshers on the campus who have joined the MBA. So what's your viewpoint on that? That we should take MBA just after the undergrad or after some work experience?
So again, there's no clear answer to that. So in IIM Ahmedabad, at least I can tell you there are like 30% of the batch is freshers. Most of them are from DU, in fact. Uh, so and they do well in life. Like they do well in careers. They are getting the same jobs as most experienced people are. They are doing as academically well as others. So you can't see that they are doing any worse off than the ones who come with experience. But definitely that work proper work not any work like a good work experience helps you get a lot out of MBA. So just to give you an example, when you sit in any lecture, scoring marks and getting jobs is one side. Maybe you can be at par at that point of time. But when you are sitting in a lecture or having a discussion, the topic or the case that has been discussed, uh, I can relate a lot of those things to something I've done in just 1 year in HL. And I have a lot deeper appreciation of the concepts there versus someone who's just reading the case and solving it. So you will be able to solve it, but there are these finer nuances in the case, in the question, that are not needed to get you the marks or get you the job, but you still be able to have that discussion if you have worked, you've done something similar, or you can relate something. So in terms of learning perspective, I do believe relevant work ex is important. There are people who come with a lot of work ex, but it was, let's say, an operational job or something. They might not be able to relate that much. But if you have a good work experience, uh, it definitely helps in your learning.
I'm sure students will take this from. And moving on to Nathan.
So next question that I have for you is like, so there's a GD round, a PI round, also a written ability round in the MBA entrances, right? So like, how would you suggest, or like, what are some skills that you would suggest or courses to the students who are there who want to pursue MBA to, like, in order to I would say enhance their skills in this regard, and also in order to differentiate them from the rest of the applicants that are there? How would you say, what are some skills they can acquire which will boost their preparation in this regard?
So, post CAT, I think most colleges have this GDPI rounds, as you said. In my case, there was no GD. I gave two interviews in Ahmedabad and Bangalore, and last year I'd given in LKI. None of them had a GD, so I've never given a GD, so probably not the right person. Even in my job interviews, for some reason, uh, neither after CA nor during my internship here, I've never given a GD. So that's not something I can comment on. But PI and written ability is what I can tell you. So written ability is like uh, slightly different depending on college to college. In Ahmedabad, it's called AWD. This is very similar to GMAT. Uh, there's a similar concept in GMAT. So you can just refer to GMAT sources to get an idea of what happens. Basically, there's a case given, a passage with some facts, some opinions, some, let's say, news article or something, and you have to do an analysis. So this is not just your writing ability, like in terms of grammar and English. It's also a lot of logical analysis of the case facts. Does your answer flow logically? So basically, it's like these are the assumptions underlying the case. These are the conclusions that you can draw. are those conclusions correct? Why or why not? What could be your recommendation? If you have identified a problem correctly, how you can solve it. So that kind of an analysis is required. Obviously, to present, you need a structured thought process and good grammar and sentence formation, like English in general. So that's in Ahmedabad. In Bangalore, it's slightly different. In Bangalore, it's not a proper analysis as such. It's mostly like a case with a question, and you have to give your opinion. So, for example, if I remember correctly, for me it was on quick delivery, something like Zepto and Blinkit. It's like hyper local delivery. Do you think this will work? Do you think this business model will sustain? So I had to basically give my opinion on. Uh, I chose it wouldn't, so I had to explain why I think this wouldn't sustain. And there's a time crunch in both these cases. You get, I don't remember the exact time, but you don't get a lot of time. It's 20 minutes or something. So you have to be very fast. How you improve at that is one is practice, obviously. Refer to past questions, refer to these GMAT sources. They have lots of these cases. Practice. Uh, Learn structured thinking. So every time you read a case, every line that you read, you have to think what is the implication of that line. Does is there an underlying assumption in that line that may or may not be true, or is it hinting towards something, or is does it help you identify some problem, and or does it help you identify some solution? Sometimes there's something written uh, in the early passage that helps you make a solution to a problem that you identify later. So broadly, those four are the things that you should analyze in every line that you read. If you follow that approach, it takes time because every line you have to think for like a minute. So obviously it's time taking. That's why you need to be very fast at it. But I think if you practice a few cases, it comes naturally, and like you can almost predict, okay, this line will be useful to me in this way. So I think practice is what's important here, and obviously having the right approach. I would honestly recommend joining some coaching. I did not, but if you're considering giving CAT and appearing for interviews for MBA, do join coaching. I am telling you all this basis my experience. Might be wrong, might be right. I got through doesn't mean I'm right. I think those people at coaching who've done this for years have a better perspective. They'll be able to guide you better on the approach. But that's what I would say. Coming to the PI, uh, personal interviews is probably the most important thing. So at least in IIM Ahmedabad, in your final selection, 50% weightage is PI. So even if you got 100 percentile in CAT, that only holds for like 20% some weightage in the final score. So your PI determines whether you get into the college or not. Your personal interview is taken by some professors who are like geniuses in their field. Mostly they are double PhDs or something. They've worked for decades. They've taught students for decades. So they can literally look at you, look at your face, and tell you what you're good at, what you're not good at. Every thought that happens like goes in your mind, they can tell you that. So I think the most important thing is to uh, not fake it. Most people try to fake it in the interviews and present themselves as very smart and the best candidate there is. They don't want the best candidate. Interviews are basically a way for those professors to get to know you if they can teach you. These are the people who are going to come to your class and teach you. So the basic criteria that they're testing on is if you are sitting in the class, can they teach you? Are you open to learning? If they tell you something's wrong, can you accept that and figure out what's wrong and ask for the right solution? Can you ask the right question? Or sometimes in the interview, it happened with me. They asked me questions I didn't know the answer to, but then they give you hints. So they were asking me something on statistics. I didn't know. They'll give me some hint. They're testing after the hint, even though I did not know the answer. Can I now pick up the answer? So how fast can you learn? How fast can you pick up things? Can you listen with focus? Can you figure out what they are hinting at? That is the first key part that the interview tests. Um, I think the second part is what you bring to the table. So again, there is a lot of focus in MBA in diversity in the batch, and there's a reason to it because most of the learning is focused on in-class discussions. Now, when we are sitting in class, if you are sitting in class, interviewer wants to see do you add any value to the class. So if there's a case discussion going on, if I am a CA, I give a perspective on how does these things impact finance. uh, there's a person who's done sociology. He tells and he picks up a point saying what's the core reason for this attitude of the person? How does society work? So in the same statement, in the same case, every person sitting in the class contributes something. These interviews want someone in the college who can contribute to the class, and so they're trying to figure out if you are really good at what you do. It's okay if you don't know the answers to certain things. They don't expect you to know everything, but you have to be good at what you are good at. I think I'd written a few pointers on my LinkedIn as well on how you can prepare for the interviews. Broadly, focus on your freshers to work experience is not relevant for you, but broadly, you should focus on your academics. Expect academic questions there, in-depth academic questions. If you're saying this is my favorite subject, you should know a lot about that subject, not only academically, even what's happening in the market. If you see, if you say tax is my favorite subject, you should know what are the recent amendments and stuff. Political news, you should be updated about what's happening in the world. And it's even more important to have an opinion. So the first part is you should know what's happening. The second is you should have an opinion on it. So if there's Iran attacked Pakistan, this is a key issue. This will definitely be asked in the interviews this year, like for sure. But they don't want to know what happened and what. What they want to know is what could happen. How would you deal if you were, let's say, in Pakistan? How would you deal with it if you were the foreign secretary? Do you think Iran did the right thing? So, what's your opinion? Like, look, your opinion on was it a right step for Iran to attack? Why or why not? That's what they want to know. How do you think about this move of Iran? They're not concerned with facts. They don't want how many people died when the attack happened. All those things are relevant. So I think in preparation for PI, focus on your academics, focus on current affairs, everything that interests you, and have an opinion. Read a lot of articles. Read, Economic Times. Read the Mint, Hindu. Uh, Watch maybe opinion channels on YouTube like Think School and stuff. Just get to know a lot of different opinions. Broadly, this is what they want to test. But interviews are honestly open for anything. They can ask you anything and everything. I've been asked, okay, are you an introvert or an extrovert? If, like, let's say an introvert, how does that affect your work? What's the exact impact in your work experience because of being an introvert? Are you a team player? How do you work in teams? How do you handle teams? They'll give you situations on the go. This is the situation. You have these three people. How do you make them work? How do you lead them? Or you have a bad boss. How do you deal with it? Or you are sitting in a class. This professor is saying something. This is an ethics situation. How do you deal with it? So the purpose is just to test how you think. So it's important to have clarity on everything. Know all your life decisions. If you've come to Bhagat Singh College, you should know why you've come here. Uh, what exactly is good about this college? What you've learned from it? What are your future plans? Why do you want to do an MBA? Don't give generic answers like okay, MBA gives a good job or networking or something. It has to be something very specific. Okay, this is what MBA adds to me. Uh, why do you want to like which what are your future plans in the next 5 years? If you're saying a particular career domain, you should know what domain it is, why do you want to work in it, what kind of work it has, and why not any other domain. So basically they just want to know if you've thought through things. So my tip for preparation would be honestly join a coaching. It does help. It covers all the basics, like it will cover your academics and current affairs and all those stuff, but the more important part is sit in your room and spend time thinking about what you've done, decisions you've taken, why you've taken them, why do you want to do an MBA in reality, how do you want to communicate this to the panel. You might have an answer, but they stress test you. You might not be able to talk in the interview. You might be asked to write it. There's a concept SOPs. Just like GDPI, in some colleges they ask for SOPs. Like IIM Bangalore asked for one. So in 2 pages you have to write why do you want to do an MBA, what makes you different, what differentiates you and stuff. So you need to know what exactly is your strength, and you should have the stories backing it. If I'm saying I'm saying I'm academically smart, I have the academic credentials to back it. If I'm saying I'm good at this particular skill, I have to quote incident saying, okay, in my work experience, this is the work I was doing. This is the incident that happened. This is how I dealt with it, and this shows my quality. So you can't just say I'm hardworking, I'm dedicated. You have to show some incidents. You have to prove why that is true. So I think self-reflection is ultimately the key. So preparation for MBA interviews, it's basically 15 days or 20 days, whatever you spend, thinking about everything you have done, why you've done it, why you want to do it, how it impacts, thinking about your personality, your academics, and everything. But as a last step, do start with basic prep on like coaching, or if you are doing it by yourself, do start with the basics and then move on to this larger questions and how do you want to present.
So, I think the main takeaway can be that a person needs to really develop his critical thinking skills through a lot of practice on cases, and he should be really well informed regarding what is going on in the world, current affairs, and all those things, and also be well informed regarding his academics and all the things. So that was a very good answer. I think the people would derive great value from that. And so the next question which we have prepared is actually, do the B schools differentiate between the students who have pursued their graduation from a regular college and those who have pursued it from a correspondence route? And if it is so, then how do you suggest the students who are from open colleges to minimize the gap with those who are from regular colleges?
Mhm. So, see, my graduation is also from IGNO, which is like an open university. But then I've done CA, so that covers up for me. I do not fall into the open education category in their evaluation, at least. Uh, I have hardly seen anyone here who has done just a distance learning graduation and nothing else. So, as far as I am aware, there is no one, at least in my college, who has done only a distance learning course and has done nothing else. So it's, I think, very difficult that way. But let's say you are doing, so I would say definitely there's value to college. Uh, there's a majority crowd from DU in IIMs, if you see, uh, from different colleges. So you know that college experience does add value. It's statistically evident that these people do value college experience, uh, just because of the numbers that we see. I would say it's great if you have a regular college. If you do not have a regular college and if you are doing a distance learning, if you are pursuing something alongside, it does not really matter. Like if you're doing CA or some other course, it does not really matter. But if you're just doing distance learning, I'm not sure how that works. I haven't dealt with those cases, but definitely it's something you'll have to be able to defend in your interview, saying uh, why did you go for a distance learning program? Uh, I mean, there could be all kinds of questioning. Even if you scored like 9 10 percentile in CAT, you make it to the interview. But in the interview, you'll have to defend your choices again. You'll have to prove why it made sense for you to do a distance learning. What did you do with the time that you saved in distance learning? Is there something extra that you worked on? Maybe there are some people who do sports or some other thing. Have you done something of that sort? That kind of makes sense uh, to skip regular college. So you have to have some logic to it. You can't just go, okay, I did a open learning and now I'm going to do it.
Okay, I think that was a good answer. And now for the next question, I would like to pass the virtual mic to Hariom again.
Students, what we face that the phone addiction has taken over all our abilities. So, how did you deal with the phone addiction or the social media addiction in your life?
Yeah, everyone is addicted, I believe. So during this interview, excuse me, I have my phone with me. I'm checking, what's happening in between. If there's any email or something, some message. So I think it's something that everyone is facing. Uh, Addiction is okay because I think for me at least, phone is a very important part of everything I do. Everything, like even academics or being connected with people, even social media. I consider all these very important part of my life. So I don't, even in my exams, I don't switch off social media. Uh, what I do and what I'd recommend everyone to do is to be able to detach whenever you want. So if I feel like, even during college, it happens even now. If I feel like I'm spending too much time on social media scrolling, I should, and that is affecting somehow my grades or my performance. Or let's say I missed a deadline or something. I get an indication, okay, I'm struggling to find time. uh, then I take a step back and I reduce my time. You should be able to reduce your time spent on social media or anything on the phone as per your wish. So it's basically like it should be in your control. Uh, I do it when I have time. If I feel like I don't have time or I have some better things to do, I'm pressed for time. I have the ability to switch it off and keep my phone away and do work when I need to do work. So, there are these people who say switch off social media on, don't be on that, don't use a phone. I personally don't believe that. It's very important, I think, today's world to be connected to other people. It helps me connect to a lot of people. Us batchmates are connected like that. Professional connections are through LinkedIn. Instagram is very important for you to start like a conversation, make connections. Facebook maybe people don't use, but all these different apps, uh, it's also a very good source of content. So follow if you're spending time on Instagram or if you're spending a lot of time on YouTube, follow the right content pages. There are lots of things on Instagram, like I follow FinShots. There's a thing called Mad Over Marketing. There are You follow Quint on Instagram. So in your feed, along with reels and fun stuff, which is also very important, you also get something that adds value. You also get some content which helps you. So even that time actually helps you add some value. A way of keeping yourself updated is also social media. It's not just news apps that give you news nowadays. It's also social media. In fact, you'll get a news earlier on social media compared to, let's say, news channel or a newspaper that you'll get the next day. Uh, I think only two things I would say for social media or like mobile addiction. One is limit your time. Be mentally strong enough to switch it off when you want to. You shouldn't be like कर ही नहीं पा रहा हूँ. I know I have to do this thing, but phone बंद ही नहीं कर पा रहा है. That's something you have to have control over. And second is have the right content on your phone. The apps that you install, uninstall all the uh, useless apps. I don't have games anymore. I used to play a lot of games. Now I don't. Install good apps. So if I'll just tell you the apps that I have. Uh, I'm not saying I use them all the time, but I have ET app, I have the Mint app, I have the Hindu app. Install these apps. You get these notifications. It will help in your interview prep also for MBA. That's when I had installed all these apps. You know, have all have a balance of fun, but also have some content based stuff on your mobile. So that addiction actually helps you rather than bringing wasting your time.
Completely agree with your point that social media is a more legitimate platform to get news rather than news channels nowadays. So moving on to the next question. You are in IIM Ahmedabad. It's such a big town. So is the hype justified that is in the whole society? Or it's just a hype or it's just a tag?
And even if it wasn't, I wouldn't tell you. So that question doesn't make sense. But I would say it is justified. So all of us go through this journey when we join college, and we meet people here and we study, and we're like, there is nothing special about it. And you'll feel like, okay, the people that you see, you'll feel like the people that you knew outside college are also equally smart. It's not that you have all the geniuses here. But I mean, they're smart, but it's not like this is the best crowd of the entire world that is sitting in Ireland. So you feel like, okay, what is this hype about? And it takes some time to figure out what's happening. It takes time for you to figure out how these different, like I talked about prioritization and doing 20 things at a time. It takes time for you to figure out how that actually helps when you come out of college. What I am able to do today versus 7 months ago, I'm much faster at doing stuff, much faster at getting things done. And it's not some it's like you're forced to do stuff. So you basically work on yourself because you're forced to work on yourself. You have three deadlines in a day. You kind of learn how to manage stuff. You work with so many people. You work with in group projects. You do different activities in clubs. There are lots of clubs, uh, depending on your interest. So you need learn a lot of things that you don't realize you're learning. So it's only when you see the effect that you realize, okay, and then you kind of compare. So if I sit with someone like not an MBA, and I would say the way he would approach a problem versus the way I would approach would be different. Uh, for example, if someone tells me there are these four things that you have to do by tomorrow, the first thought that most people would have is, "अरे कैसे होगा? Why do I have to do this?" And all. The first thought that now after the experience, the first thought we would have is, okay, four things, 14 hours. I I have to sleep for 6 hours today, 2 hours of this tomorrow, 2 hours of that tomorrow. This is the 14 hours I have. I'll allocate it this way and I'll get it done. That is the first thought you get. Versus when you have not done this, for many people, it would be like, "क्या क्यों करना है? Can I skip this? Is it important enough?" Or it's a difference in attitude that it brings. So it's because of that there's a hype. Uh, Obviously, the selection process is so stringent. If you made it to the college, it's like a signal to anyone that you are smart in some way. If maybe in academics, in some subject in your domain, or in something you are good at something, that's why you made it here. So the hype is also because if I go and say I'm from Ahmedabad, the first presumption of people is, okay, he's good at something. Plus, there's an alumni. Because people from this college have done good things in the past, I get the benefit of that. Uh, because let's say for job, a recruiter is saying he has hired from Ahmedabad and thought for like 10 years, and those people have done well. So he knows that if he hires me, there's a good chance I will also do it. So your alumni also helps. So I think the hype is justified, but it takes some time to figure out why.
It's great to listen to the insights. Moving on to Nathan.
Yes, so like one of the questions which I have is like you said that from someone who is pursuing purely from a correspondence route, he uh, he has to face a lot of back I would say questioning in the interview. But like let's say a majority of people who pursue CA, they do it from an open route as well, and many of them want to pursue an MBA afterwards. So like let if you can you answer from their perspective, like let's say a person was completed a CA, and like how can he, I would say, develop those skills which I would say a person who is going to a regular college would have, and how can he bridge that gap uh, which he
So again, as I said, if you've done it from a distance learning college, it's okay if you've used that time for something else. So a person who has done CA can always say, okay, I wanted to do CA, that's why this is the case. So it's not held against me by anyone. He didn't go to college. If you've not done anything, that's the problem. Okay, why didn't you go college? Like, what were you doing at home? That's the question that comes. For CAs, there's a there's a justification saying, okay, we've done this. As far as college experience is concerned, you rightly said most CAs want to do an MBA for the college experience, for developing those skills that you learn in college, because we didn't do it. Most of us didn't do it in UG. You should know that most CAs do go to college. There's only a very few of us who do it from distance learning. A lot of people go to college. In fact, in my batch here, of the roughly 20 something CAs, as far as I'm aware, everyone else went to college. I'm the only one who did a distance learning program. So there are lots of CAs who go to college, but coming to how you cover up for it, um, so specifically for CAs, uh, there are these CA societies. There are student associations that you can register with, and you can be a part of those events, and that's like a source of socializing for you and doing extracurriculars. Uh, Pick up a few hobbies maybe. uh, I had picked up music, uh, in my hostel when I was there. So for me, it was very easy because I was in the hostel in Mumbai. So that was like a proxy college for me. So if you're at a place like that, it's very easy. So I wouldn't say I didn't have a college experience, but if you're at home doing your articleship in your hometown and doing CA, definitely you do miss out on college life and that socializing. So it's difficult, but I think one of the ways could be to artificially try and socialize. You do have friends other than CAs. Go to them. There are colleges wherever you are living. There are colleges who are annual fests and events. Participate in those events. Become a part of those. Uh, Whatever you want to do, whatever you hobby you have. If you have sports, join the local team. Go to a sports club. If you are into music, join a band, or join some classes. If you are into anything that you can find in any college, go to events. Have your school friends close, interact with them, socialize. I think the key to cover up for that is to keep socializing and keep meeting people and being in touch with them. People who do distance learning and CAs, I think the problem comes because you sit at your home and you don't do a lot of stuff. uh, Articleship is again a good way. You go to office again, you meet a lot of people, lots of activities. Join a good firm. People go for big fours. They have lots of events and activities in office. Coachings are another way. Coaching is almost like a proxy college for CAs because you spend hours and hours there. You might spend 2 hours in the morning, 4 hours in the night, whatever. You spend long hours there, and you have a batch of people. Although it's coaching, it's like your college. Leverage that. So basically, find alternatives to the college experience. It's difficult, but like in college, you get everything in a campus. In like a 200-meter radius, you have everything. If you don't have that, it's difficult, but it can be nice.
That was again a very good answer. I think the people who want to develop those skills will benefit highly from that. And so, like now coming to the exciting part of this podcast, we have a rapid fire lined up for you. I hope you are ready for that.
I have not,
Okay,
but
so I mean, it's definitely. But so like the rapid for the rapid fire, like the first question we have, what are your hobbies apart from your academics? You are clearly brilliant in academics, but what are your hobbies which you have apart from those?
yeah, so one is writing. I started writing fiction stories in school. I don't write fiction more now, but I do write say articles or some on topics. Sometimes I had started posting on LinkedIn, but I stopped. That's one. And the second is music. I think most of my time goes into music. I learned piano when I was a kid for a couple of years. Then I learned tabla for 6 7 years, and I've been doing music all throughout. In CA, we had a band called Calm, which is like musicians all CAs. I'm also a part of the music club here in college, and I keep performing. So that's what takes up my time.
Okay, that's very I would say interesting. And so since you are interested in writing and interested in music, so like if you have any favorite song or who's your favorite artist when it comes to music?
Yeah, many. I mean, I can't say one, but I have a varied musical interest. I would say Coke Studio is something I like. A.R. Rahman, or if you know Indian Ocean, Raghu Dixit, some indie music, and obviously the more popular ones, Arijit Singh, Sonu Nigam, too. They are evergreen. But I also listen to these independent artists. I go to SoundCloud and explore their library. Not so well-known artists. There's a lot of good music there. That's what I listen to.
Okay, and so like, do you watch sports? And if so, what's your favorite sport?
So I have followed cricket closely for a long time, but it's not possible now to follow as much in college. But I'm still updated. Like I know what happened yesterday. I'm still in touch with cricket. I do also follow sometimes badminton, but mostly I would say cricket is what, just like all Indians, I would say it takes up most of my band.
And who's your favorite player?
So Ravindra Jadeja has been my favorite for years. I think he's
Okay, and so do you watch movies? And what's your favorite movie, if you can name any?
uh, favorite movie. I would say there was one Tamasha, if you've seen. This was like 10 years ago. I think that was one I liked. I said that there are a lot of. I remember watching Welcome kind of movies, Welcome, Dhamal, those fun movies as a kid. Uh, Now, obviously, there's also these newer Hollywood movies that I would watch, but I think my favorite would still be Thomas.
Okay, that's a great pick. And like, so since you mentioned that you like writing, and I would say, a big fan of books. I like reading books a lot. And so, my question to you would be, what's your favorite book? And if you can name any 3 to 5 books that which have helped you greatly in like your career and or time management and all those things in any sphere of life. So if you can suggest any books to the audience which you think will benefit them highly.
I'm not the right person to suggest books because I don't read many. I don't read non-fiction, so I don't read self-help books or all these things. I have only read fiction books. I'll tell you the ones that I liked. One that I think you should read is called Fountainhead. It is by Ayn Rand. That's one I remember. I've read a lot of Sherlock Holmes, almost all of Arthur Conan Doyle's work, most of his novels and short stories. I have read Dan Brown, most of his novels. If you know Dan Brown's Inferno and The Da Vinci Code. Uh, I'm also into fiction of the kind of Lord of the Rings. I've actually read the entire books of Game of Thrones, like The Song of Ice and Fire. So I was into fiction a lot. I don't read non-fiction, finance books, self-help books, philosophy. I don't read all that.
Okay, so like even I have Dan Brown on my reading list. I recently started with Inferno, so that's definitely good to know. And so like now I would like to pass the virtual mic to Hariom.
So I would like to add one more question. How was your school life? And did it help you in your MBA journey or your CA journey? Was like did it shape something for you?
Yeah, that's a question I've never been asked. So I'll have to think. So school life was pretty good. I was in 2 schools. I was in Nagpur. I started in one school till 7th standard, and then I shifted in 8th standard. So 8th to 12th was another. I think the schools that I studied in, they were CBSE, and they're probably like the best schools in the country. The biggest benefit that I see from those schools is the friends that I had. Uh, my friend circle of 10th standard, uh, most all of them went to IITs. I was the only one who took commerce. Everyone else took science, and they went to different IITs, Bombay and Madras and stuff. I think the biggest learning for me was my school. So I started doing music because some of my friends were doing it. I started writing because I had a couple of friends who were writers. I wasn't a writer till like 9th standard. I met them, became friends, and they used to write. So I also tried my hand at it. And they helped me do it. Uh, Olympiads, I cleared CAT as I said because I had given those Olympiads. I gave those Olympiads because I had these bunch of friends who used to give them, and they did pretty well at it. It's because of them I started giving Olympiads. So I think the key learning for me, key takeaway from school in hindsight, is the people that I was surrounded with. Amazing people, not just good friends, but also people who helped me start a lot of things, helped me develop a lot of skills and stuff. Even not only these hard skills and technical things, also softer skills like personality. How do you talk? How do you present yourself? The way I talk is probably because of them. The kind of language I use, the kind of thought processes I have. There's a huge influence that my school friends had on me. Uh, so that's definitely, I think, the biggest thing of school. Apart from that, obviously, academics was very important. I used to be good at academics. I was a very sincere student till I would say fifth, sixth standard. The sincerity went down after that, but I still managed to maintain my grades somehow. I would study at the last moment. But still I would score well. Uh, I would put in the overnight hours at the last moment. My focus in school was to understand the concepts pretty well. As in, if I'm studying something in maths, if there's a formula of area of circle, I should know how it is derived. If there's a circumference formula 2 pi r, I should know why it is 2 pi r, how to derive it. That was my approach. I tried to do that as far as possible. Obviously, you can't learn everything. You're a kid in school, but as far as I possible, tried to work on that. That has also greatly helped me because my school level knowledge is clear. Now, whenever I study newer things, it's easier to pick up academically any new stuff, be it CA or MBA or actuaries or anything. So any subject that I pick up, even if I'm studying it for the first time, because the basic concepts are similar to something that you've studied in school, it becomes easier. So I think that academics was the second.
Great to know about that. Now, moving on to the conclusion. Thank you guys for tuning in.